No one has more state pride than New Mexicans. The vibrant culture, bold flavors, unique history, and dramatic landscapes under our Zia sun are like no other. And the people of New Mexico are a rare breed. As diverse as we are, together we breathe life and soul into this high desert land. A land that promises adventure. I'm Michael Newman, and as your host, I'll be taking you with me as I seek out the best the land of enchantment has to offer.
New Mexico, it feels like home to me. It feels so true. It's time well spent when I spend it with you.
Thanks for tuning in for another episode of New Mexico True Television. In this episode, we seek out some of the gems in the remote northern towns of our state. From roadside oddities to an oasis of lavender, boots scooting to four-wheeling, there's no shortage of good times in these parts. When you're cutting up the canyon along the Rio Grande on Highway 68, also known as the Low Road or the River Road to Taos, a spot you don't want to miss is the Classical Gas Museum in Embudo. The Classical Gas Museum is owner and collector Johnny Meyer's homage to the great lost art that came with America's early car culture. Gas pumps as sculpture, signage representing early graphic design, treasures and relics of days gone by. In a nutshell, true American iconography. So Johnny, we're here at the Classical Gas Museum in Embudo, New Mexico. It's a landmark, for sure, but you don't know what it is until you pull in. So tell me the backstory how this place came to be.
Well, when I was a teenager, I worked on classic cars, and I just love them because they're simple and well built, well crafted, and just, well designed. And as a teenager, I'd go to junkyards and get parts for cars. But while I was at the junkyard, I started loving junk, man. And so I started dragging stuff home besides car parts and started decorating my garage, and then I started found a gas pump at a junkyard, put it out front, and then it kind of just avalanched,
Just built on it.
Yeah, it just kind of evolved.
And what is it about these vintage kind of items that, to me it kind of creates this nostalgia, but for you, what is the draw to it?
I think it represents several things. To me, it's art. I mean, when I look at these classic gas pumps, I see sculpture, I see art, and I see craftsmanship. It represents a period in America where we built things here in America and that we invested craftsmanship. We were proud of what we built and we tried to do the best job we could do. To me, it represents sort of the enchanted view of America. It's kind of the romantic view of America. And the tourists I get from all over the world here, represents the romantic view of America.
And these memories, this nostalgia that tourists have, is relayed to Johnny on a day-to-day basis.
I can't tell you how many times I've heard people come here and say, my dad used to work for Frontier Gas, or my neighbor used to drive a truck for Texaco, or my first job was in a Phillips 66 station. I was just amazed how everybody has some sort of connection to the old gas stations.
Johnny's right. By nature, gas stations are an essential element of one of the biggest parts of our day-to-day lives, our cars. And even though most of these items predate my personal driving history, they still conjure up the imagery of old photos and movies that are the foundation of American popular culture, a culture we can all embrace. But I have to say, as much fun as it is to meander around the museum and peruse through all the vintage treasures, I think the best part of my visit was swapping stories with Johnny on the bench under the apricot tree.
People are on their vacations, and a year ago there were some folks that had just come from the Grand Canyon, and they were stopped here and started taking pictures, and they ran out of memory on their card, and they started deleting pictures of the Grand Canyon to take pictures of this place. And I thought to myself, this ain't right. This ain't right.
It may not be right, but it's all good. I definitely recommend you carve out some time to hang out with Johnny on the bench out front and tell some tales as the cars whiz by. That's in America you don't get to experience every day. The hours at the Gas Museum are fairly flexible, meaning it's open as long as Johnny is there, which is most of the time. You can get some great photos and wander around the front at any old time, so pull over regardless. This stretch of road offers some other great diversions. Make a pit stop at Sugar's Barbecue and Hamburgers, just half a mile north of Embudo on 68 in Velarde for some great barbecue, or pay a visit to the tasting room at Vivac Winery to sample more flavors of this region. Coming up, we head for the hills in the best of ways. Follow the Green Chili Cheeseburger Trail and the Breakfast Burrito Byway at newmexico.org. Red River is 3 hours northeast of Albuquerque on New Mexico 38 East, in the heart of the Enchanted Circle. With endless mountains comprising its backyard, Red River is the gateway to a spectrum of outdoor adventures. And today, I've opted to take a Jeep tour with Red River OffRoad. My 4x4 excursion conveniently departs from the center of town, quickly making its way off the pavement onto the rugged road that runs along Pioneer Creek. Built by miners at the end of the 19th century, this stretch of road climbs nearly 2,000 feet. And while considered an easy to moderate off-roading trail, it still provides all the fun and excitement you'd expect when four-wheeling, i.e. plenty of bouncing, bumping, and a bit of splashing, all the while taking in the fresh mountain air from an open vehicle. This is my massage for the day. The bonus for us is our guide Gary will be helping us explore some of the area's history. Beyond the Ute and Jicarilla Apaches that roam this land, explorers, fur trappers, and prospectors later discovered the rich resources of the area and declared it Red River City. Remnants of the prospectors' gold, silver, and copper mines are scattered about these mountains, one of which we'll be seeing today.
Okay, guys, come on in.
Okay. It's a little dark in here now. So what were they looking for when they were mining in here?
Out here, quartz more than anything else. Quartz more than anything else. And sometimes they were just looking for, frankly, blind, dumb luck.
Right.
This was tough because then this one we're in right here, this was an abject failure. Absolutely.
Right.
Okay, folks, come on back. Watch your head and watch where you're walking. There's a bunch of granite here, and they're always looking for quartz. Now, folks, the red stuff here, of course, is still iron ore. Literally rust, iron oxide coming out of the rock. And the cool thing here is that a lot of the Native Americans used to scrape this off. It was a renewable resource, right? Iron ore. Scrape this thing off and save it, and it's a reddish color, and they use it for face paint.
They just come in and scrape it off and save it.
Wherever they could find it close to them. In other words, like the Taos Pueblo over there, they'd find someplace over there that'd be easier for them. But that's what they would use it for.
This mine was not the only instance where things went bust. Ultimately, the promise of precious ores dimmed, and by the 1930s, Red River's reputation as a boomtown had evolved into one of a mountain retreat. The abandoned miners' cabins even became some of the early cabins to rent while vacationing in Red River. Gary steers us to one of the early miners' cabins. And you said this is how old?
Over 100 years old.
Over 100 years old.
Please do.
People what?
The door normally is pushed back.
People were much shorter than it looks like.
Yeah, well, look at the doorway.
And while not anything you'd find listed on an online travel site, it has been surprisingly preserved. That's all you needed when you were out here mining.
We don't have a beach.
We got water. Got the mountain. It's all in one. There's so many recreations to really get yourself into nature. That's like point blank. The ride was good. It was bumpy, but when you come to the destination, it's totally worth it. Oh man. I mean, this place is majestic.
It really is.
At least. What's your favorite thing about, giving these tours and coming out in this nature?
By and large, the customers are excellent. They're such great people. But honestly, what do you think of my office?
Yeah, not a bad deal.
Honestly, what do you think of my office? I did this on purpose. It is great being outdoors.
What are they most surprised about when they come out here?
Health of the woods that I talk about. And they're usually surprised how easy it is if you know what you're doing to find gold. Yeah. I think they're very surprised to find that it's still here.
People do it in this creek? People pan for gold?
Oh, sure.
Really?
Yeah. Oh, they find that fascinating.
Yeah, the allure of coming to this part of the country and looking for gold, it's still alive.
Absolutely. Always will be.
Like Gary, I'm a fan of his workplace. You know life is good when you can call this experience just another day at the office. We went on the more tame tour, but if you want to do some serious off-roading, I'd ask for the Goose Lake tour. It was chilly in the mountains, so I'd bring an extra layer or two to make sure you're comfortable. And if you want to do your own tour, Red River OffRoad offers UTV rentals as well. Up next, my urban cowboy hits the dance floor. Don't say I didn't warn you. In the heart of Red River sits the Community House. Since the 1940s, this center's free daily events keep it a stronghold of the community. Any day of the week, good old-fashioned fun can be found at this Red River institution. This is truly small-town America at its best, and no visit to town would be complete without popping in to see what's going on inside. When I meet up with my friend Jacqueline at the Community House, you can already hear the music calling, and the caller calling. Yes, that's right, it's square dancing night. When in Red River, you gotta wear the hat and do the dance. Yeah. So let's do it. All right. I don't know if I'm ready for what's in store, but I can't resist taking a peek. So I wanna study first. I'm gonna do my research.
4 ladies chained across the ring.
I can honestly say that in all my years, I have never seen anything like this. Hands down, this is the best instance of a multi-generational, all-inclusive, all ages experience I have ever had the privilege of being part of, and I just walked in the door. I have never seen so many people smiling and twirling, do-si-doing, having such a good time. Dads with their daughters, old folks, young folks, and everyone in between dancing up a storm. I think it's safe to say I'm a bit out of my element. I've already been schooled not to wear my hat indoors, and informed men usually don't wear their jeans inside their cowboy boots. Help, I feel like a wolf in sheep's clothing, or an urban cowboy trying to be the real thing. But there are plenty of other folks sitting this one out too. Like me, I think they're enjoying the people watching. These people have got moves. It's so much fun to watch. Nothing wrong with being a wallflower in this dance hall. Even being a passive participant is a blast. It's enough for my eyes and ears to keep up with the caller's commands. I'm not quite sure how my feet will manage, but it helps to have a good friend like Jacqueline give my confidence a little boost. So here goes nothing. There's no easy way to go about diving into the boot scootin' boogie. I'm definitely the new guy in town, but everyone's too busy kicking up their own heels to notice.
All right. I need one right here in the middle square.
After getting in step with line dancing, I jumped into a square to try my square dancing moves. And that was it. You couldn't get me off the floor. And before I know it, I'm actually enjoying myself. I'm outright having an amazing time. I think I found my inner cowboy. Who would have known? Red River is full of surprises, of the best variety. All right. All in a day's work. For your toe-tapping, boot-scooting evening in Red River, here's some hints. The Community House sits right in the heart of Red River, which is just 45 minutes north of Taos, 2 hours north of Santa Fe. You can dance at the Community House at least once a week, sometimes up to 4 times a week. Check out their other activities like s'mores and storytelling and family nights, all of which are free. Lavender feels forever. It really exists in Abiquiu. And now, here's another New Mexico true treasure. New Mexico's true treasures spread across the entire state, but in a few key locations they pack together like a string of pearls. And that's the case with must-see churches along the high road to Taos. Maybe the most famous of these churches that date back centuries is the Santuario de Chimayo. Chimayo welcomes everyone. Visitors come for the wonder, pilgrims come for the worship, the faithful believe it is a place of healing. And whatever your religious background, you will appreciate the simple beauty and serenity at Chimayo. Up the road in Las Trampas is the more rugged but less visited San Jose de Gracia Church. This classic Spanish mission church is older than the Declaration of Independence and still appears much like it originally did, thanks to care and renovation over the years. And at the northern end of the high road is Ranchos de Taos and the photogenic San Francisco de Asís Church. Georgia O'Keeffe is among the artists who have made the backside of this church iconic. But the front and the interior have plenty of attraction as well. The High Road Drive is loaded with scenery, timeless northern New Mexico villages, and artist galleries. But the churches merit your attention as you try to absorb all the scenic byway offers. Every church has its own story. And be sure to go inside to fully experience your visit to these New Mexico true treasures. Kids are welcome, but remember these are places of worship that require quieter traffic. For more about the High Road, its churches, or any of the places in today's show, please visit newmexico.org. Sign up to receive monthly newsletters about events and happenings around the state at newmexico.org. And now from the pages of New Mexico Magazine. Under an hour north of Santa Fe on Highway 84 is the Purple Adobe Lavender Farm. This exquisite property sits just outside of Abiquiu in a gorgeous valley along the Rio Chama. The land surrounding Abiquiu has drawn people from all over the world for decades. Its dramatic red-faced cliffs and the green valleys along the Chama riverbeds are stunning. And I can certainly think of no better place to make a day's adventure than in the aromatic lavender fields of this region's beloved Purple Adobe Lavender Farm. Outfitted with a gift shop and tea house, not to mention gardens under enveloping cottonwoods with trails leading you down to the river, the Purple Adobe Lavender Farm demands that you relax and wander and savor and enjoy. This place knows how to cater to a traveler like myself. Strolling through this oasis of lavender, feeling completely relaxed and immersed in my surroundings, it almost slips my mind that this place is in fact a working farm. But indeed it is. As I meander down the rows of lavender, people are cutting the stems by hand, clipping, trimming, and fashioning them into tight little bundles. And these bundles will go into the distilled oils, body products, culinary herbs, and other goods found in the gift shop. Not to mention the delectable treats at the tea house, gelatos, truffles, and scones, all made by local partnering companies that use the lavender from this farm. This is quite the operation, and it definitely has me interested in meeting the proprietor, Elizabeth, to see how this all evolved into what it is today.
Good to see you too. Welcome.
You might have to give me a job because I think I want to hang out here all day.
We would like you here.
Yeah. It's so open, and you just feel like you're at home when you come to the farm. So I want to know more about the background.
I started reading everything I could read. I talked to anybody that would talk to me about lavender.
Research.
Yeah, with all the research that I did, I thought that I could take it on, because I had a dream of having a business where I lived.
Right.
And so I went to France. I wanted to grow lavender like they do in France because I wanted aromatherapeutic lavender. Mm-hmm. So I learned there, came back. It took us 2.5 years to find a property. I looked based on elevation, because the higher the elevation, the sweeter the lavender. Soil composition, latitude and longitude.
Oh, so there's a science to
There's a
finding
science.
the pristine spot. And Abiquiu
was
fit the bill?
perfect.
Oh, wow.
Abiquiu is perfect. The farm was never for us.
Right.
It was always so people could come out to the country, get away, get into nature, into beauty, learn about lavender, and have a peaceful day. It was always about that.
And you'd get that ambiance as soon as you walk on the property.
Yeah.
You're seeing the beautiful moths and the butterflies. There's so many herbs around. It is kind of calming.
Take one of these off here because I want you to smell that. When you squeeze the lavender, that's how you release the essential oil.
Okay.
Now, smell that.
Oh, it's intoxicating.
I know.
It's beautiful.
It's
I
a
love
natural
that.
calmative. It's an antibacterial and antimicrobial. So we use it in many products, many applications. This particular field over here, now we're doing culinary. You can actually cook with lavender.
Really?
Yes.
Okay.
And what I want you to try is, let me get a stem for you here and smell the difference in the first one to the second one. Very different, isn't it?
Very different.
So we use this in our culinary products, our finishing salts, our gelato, our
lavender gelato.
truffles. I mean, it's in everything.
All this talk about food is making me hungry. Elizabeth and I decide it's time for me to have a taste test back at the tea house.
So Michael, what I have for you is lavender stracciatella. Oh, you're going to love this.
You're too much. You're spoiling me with all this lavender everything. Oh,
I know, it's lovely. You're going to love this.
Okay.
And I've got more. Let me get more.
I'm so excited.
I'm going to have you so full by the time you leave here.
This is amazing. Lavender and ice cream.
Yes.
After that first bite of gelato, I could have called it a day. But Elizabeth wasn't going to let me get away with that.
You've got to try one of these. You just have to. It's like, I know.
If you insist.
I do.
If you insist. Okay, I'm going to do this one. Is this the Myers lemon?
That's the raspberry and lavender.
Oh.
You like?
I don't want to speak.
Okay. Well, I'm afraid to give you any more. I'd probably never get you out of the chair.
That
Is that
was an
good?
explosion of flavor, the lavender. In a sweet, I've never had like sweet and lavender at the same time. In this tea room, it's hard to know when to say when. The lavender at Purple Adobe has seduced me in every possible way. Taste, sight, sound, and smell. A complete sensory experience. I'm glad Elizabeth and her husband created this little slice of heaven in Abiquiu, and that they have decided to share with all of us. Stop by their on-site nursery where you can buy one of their lavender varietals. Elizabeth will give you special instruction on which plant will work best in your garden. And if you'd like to take a stab at creating your own lavender products, check their website for distillation demonstrations. There's no shortage of ways to enjoy this farm, but I have to say, let yourself indulge and try one of these lavender raspberry truffles. It will blow your mind. For more great stories like this from New Mexico Magazine, visit newmexico.org. We're glad you joined us on our adventures through this amazing part of our state, and hopefully it inspires some future travel. And with that being said, what are you doing next weekend?